Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Urban Experience. I'll turn it over to our chair, Councilmember Karen Stratton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting of 2022 of the Urban Experience Committee. It's nice to see everybody. We're going to start off by approval of the minutes for December 13th, 2021. Can I get a motion to have those approved?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes pass. All right, we're going to go down to discussion items, and first up is Terry Stripes, and she's going to be talking about the MFTE designation, or designating the residential areas in Garland and the University District. Terry, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Council. So what we're going to talk about today is a small update to the multifamily tax exemption residential target area. So let me share my screen here. So what we're going to be doing is making a small adjustment. Number one, bringing back in the Garland district to within the multifamily tax exemption boundary and making a fix to the South University District. Back in 2017, we had drawn the boundary, but we had missed a small portion of the South University District through that update. And so this little update will correct that problem as well as add back in the Garland District. We're doing this because there's been a strong desire to meet the housing shortage needs around the community, and these two areas seem to be ripe for moving this forward. What is multifamily tax exemption? Multifamily tax exemption is part of our taxation code that allows us to exempt the property value that is brought on from new housing being created within these target areas. We use this chapter to encourage the multifamily housing opportunities where we want to see them. This helps stimulate new construction of multifamily housing. It is designed to help increase the supply of mixed income multifamily housing opportunities. So both affordable as well as market rate. This helps us accomplish our planning goals that are defined in the Growth Management Act and in our own comprehensive plan. This is used to promote community development, neighborhood revitalization, and the availability of affordable housing. It is also used to preserve and protect buildings, objects, and sites within the neighborhood. So multifamily tax exemption can be coupled with historic preservation in renovating existing structures and turning them into housing. So a lot of what we're seeing in the downtown area lately has been conversions of older commercial buildings to residential housing. And some of those have been historic properties as well as some that are just plain commercial structures. A good example is last year we finalized that Howard Street, the MAI Black office building, converted to a mixed-use structure of housing, short-term rentals, as well as commercial on the main floor. Now, what we're talking about in this update is two small areas, like I said, adding back in the Garland Business District where residential multifamily is already outright allowed, and then fixing that boundary in the South University District. Now here, this map is zoomed in. You can see those areas easily, but then down here in the corner of the screen, you can also see the larger city map where it shows you where those two little areas are located in relationship to the overall multifamily tax exemption boundary. So up here, just north of North Monroe is that Garland addition, and then down here south of the river in the University District is that South University District addition. The residential target area for Spokane right now is just over 9,400 acres, Adding the Garland district will add just over 45 acres, and adding that little bit in the University district will add just over 26 acres, giving us just under 5,000 acres total within the city of Spokane that are multifamily tax exempt eligible if the property is zoned for residential multifamily and if the project complies with the code. So I say this is a little update, but there still is a lot of process and time that goes into this update. So today we're here at Urban Experience. On January 24th, we'll begin moving forward the resolution, and even just to replace this map that is in the code with the new map, we will also have to go through an ordinance and hearing process. And then, as you see, I've laid out the timeline from now through February 14th when we have that hearing, and then 30 days thereafter, the residential target area would be in effect. And that is what I have for the presentation. Now, in your packet, let me talk about what's in there. On page 6 is my briefing paper that starts. On page 8 is a draft ordinance that Mike Piccolo and I will be working on and making certain it is exactly the way we want it to be by the time we get to its adoption. And then page 11 is the resolution, and page 13 is that zoomed in map that I had here in the presentation. Before I stop sharing my screen, is there anybody that would like me to back up or answer a question?
Does anybody have questions for Terry? I can't see everybody, so just yell out if you have a question. Okay.
Terry, Zach here. I have a question.
Go ahead, Zach.
For the Garland area, I was just wondering the rationale for some of the blocks there that are partial blocks and not full blocks.
Well, that's because of how the zoning lays out, Zach. So remember, with multifamily tax exemption, if the property isn't zoned for the development of multifamily, the multifamily tax exemption wouldn't be available. So when the zoning changes in that half block for this update purpose, I left it out. Does that answer that question?
Yep, thank you.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just a quick related question. So in the code, I think it's 815030A1, it says in terms of criteria for MFTE, the first one is residential targeted area is within an urban center. And there's no definition of urban center. And I'm wondering how do we define urban center? Is it simply if it's part of the centers and corridors? Is that kind of how we identify an urban center?
Sort of. So with multifamily tax exemption, the reason why it came about is that communities had put their comprehensive plans in place. And the state wasn't seeing that that was enough to help us spur that density increase in what we had defined as our urban centers and corridors, downtown. And so they allowed us to use multifamily tax exemption to help spur that. So when we first adopted multifamily tax exemption way back when, we had it attached only to our centers and corridors. Since then, over the years, the boundary has changed. The city council and the administration have always used this incentive to incentivize the development where they want it to occur, where those urban services are available. Does that answer that, Mr. Cathcart?
So it's a little subjective is what you're...
It is, but it's subjective by community. So our comprehensive plan does identify our infill centers as urban centers. So that's why we aligned it with that predominantly.
So the reason I ask, I fully support the inclusion of both of these. I mean, I think the MFTE is one of the few really successful programs we've had when it comes to multifamily housing. So absolutely support expanding it. But I guess the reason I ask is just looking at particularly the Garland, it's not really entirely in a center, I guess, in my mind. And I don't have the centers and corridors maps, but that's where I was kind of curious with that requirement that it be part of the urban center. So
So what we were doing in this update is connecting the North Monroe with the residential areas where multifamily would be allowed up into the center. So it is a contiguous boundary. So maybe that helps answer the question a little better.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
Any other questions for Terry?
Karen,
Yes, Lori, go ahead.
thank you. I apologize. I had to duck out for a minute, so I don't know if this was asked already. Terry, has there been any discussion of adjusting those percentages? And I'm channeling former Councilmember Burke right now, but has there been any discussion of changing those or adding another classification? So you've got 20% and 100%. Is there any discussion of perhaps adding a 50%?
Yes. So one of the things that you're going to see later on this year is that we're going to have that guidance back from the State Department of Commerce on House Bill 5287. They're just now beginning the creation of that guidance, and we are planning for a full code review and update starting this spring. So we will be coming back and we will be evaluating the entire program. I believe you guys are assigning committee responsibilities today or in the near future, and I have requested a couple council members be appointed to that committee that'll begin work later this year. So that'll be part of that discussion.
Super, thank you.
Any other questions? So Terry, I'm going to call you out for just like 30 seconds. I want to thank you so much and let everybody know that as far as the Garland District, there have already been good discussions up in that district with especially with the Garland Business District and the business owners. And Terry has been very, very helpful in answering questions, walking folks through the process, and we really, really appreciate it. So the folks in the Garland District are paying attention and support doing what they can do to enhance that business area and residential living. So Terry, thank you so much for reaching out and staying in contact with them. It's a great group and they're excited to kind of get this moving forward. So thank you. Okay, we're going to move ahead with Inga Note, and she is going to talk about the engineering contract and traffic calming. Inga, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, take it away.
Okay. Share my screen. Okay, good afternoon. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Inga Note, transportation engineer with Integrated Capital Management. And I'm going to be talking about this contract to hire an engineering firm to help with our traffic calming program. So just to give you a little bit of background for the new council members, we have had a traffic calming program in effect for quite some time, and the way it has worked in the past is that each of the neighborhood councils would have the opportunity to submit for a project that they thought was needed in their community. It would happen annually, and then we would go through a vetting process and a selection process with council, and then projects would get funded and then built within a year or two. The program is going through a revamp for a number of reasons, and this is a council-led revamp, and so Shauna Harshman is here if there are any questions about how that part's working. But along with that, we're going to be changing how the program works. We're going to have a facilitation firm is going to come in and meet with the neighborhoods, and then along with that, we're going to be hiring an engineering consultant who will come to those meetings as well. And the goal is to develop a long list of neighborhood projects so that we don't have to go out to the neighborhoods every year and ask for what their concerns are. We want to have, at least 4 years depth of a list to draw from to build projects each year. So this engineering consultant contract will set them up to go to 9 different neighborhood workshops along with the facilitation consultant, or if we end up training city staff to do that, however it's going to work. The plan is to have 3 of those per district. So you'll have 3 to 4 individual neighborhood councils at each of those district meetings. So the engineering consultant will come to those, listen in the facilitation process, and then try to come up with some project concepts out of the information they draw from those meetings. Then the engineering consultant will come back to a set of follow-up workshops using the same groups to share the concepts and kind of make sure that they heard what the neighborhood was looking for. After that, they'll develop an initial list of 5 projects that could be built for each neighborhood. They'll go through, and do any kind of analysis that's needed. This could be traffic counts, pedestrian counts, bike counts, checking with the school district, doing any kind of vetting that needs to be done of the project to make sure that we're doing the right treatment. Like, should it be a standalone crosswalk? Does it need to have a refuge island in the middle? Does it need to have a rapid flash beacon? And just kind of doing all those checks that the engineers do. After that, they will identify with the neighborhood's assistance the top 3 projects that each neighborhood would like to see done. And that will get us down to a total list of 87 projects, 3 for each of the neighborhoods, and then put together cost estimates and drawings for those projects. The plan here, like I said, is we want to have about 4 years or more worth of projects where we could construct 15 to 20 per year. I took a look back at what we have done in the past, and it's generally been in that range. It kind of depends on how big the projects are. If we're doing an individual crosswalk, or are we doing, 4 or 5 different crosswalks within a neighborhood center. That makes a big difference on the cost and how many we can do per year. So we expect to keep that range kind of flexible so we can adjust it depending on what funding is available. The schedule to do this, I've already drafted the RFQ, and after this meeting, our plan is to finalize that and put the RFQ out to see what kind of consultant response we get and go through the selection process over the next couple of months. It takes a little bit of time to do that, and then we'd be coming back to you for approval of a contract. So this would be the first touch on that contract, essentially. After we get them underway, we're hoping to do the initial workshops starting in spring and summer and getting into the details of what the projects are, hopefully get down to the second round of workshops in the fall, refining the projects towards the end of next year, drawing some estimates in spring of 23, and then would like to have a list to bring back to council for adoption and incorporation into our 6-year plan in whatever form it needs to be in June of 2023. Then we could hand the first round of projects off to the design team for them to start work on it, and would like to have construction going for construction season of 2024 on the first round of projects. Just as a reminder, we still have cycle 10 in between, which we will be coming to you, to whoever's on the subcommittee this year, will be coming to you with that round of projects in between before we finish this one up. So that is still in the works. The contract amount for this, it's a pricey contract just because it takes a lot of time and effort to put together the details of 87 projects. So we're looking in the $400,000 to $600,000 range for this. And really that's my last slide. So any questions on this? Councilmember Kill?
Thanks. Inga, that was good. Question is, if a neighborhood already has a comprehensive list of projects, do they still need to go through the extra process?
I can take this one if you want, Inga.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Councilmember Kinnear, even the neighborhoods that have their comprehensive lists of projects will go through the traffic calming process, because that's the process we have set up to take in and then build those projects. Now, what we are doing is working with the neighborhoods to let them know that these workshops will meet them where they're at. So if they're coming into the workshops with a list of projects already, then they'll be doing slightly different work with their other neighbors that come into those meetings, and they'll focus on the prioritization, maybe the value add piece of that. But we have up to about a dozen neighborhoods who have not done any of that work yet. So we are working to design the workshops to meet each of those neighborhoods where they're at in their process.
All right, thank you.
Does anybody else have questions? All right. Inga, Shauna, thank you so much for the information. And if people have questions, we will send them to you. Thanks. Okay, next up, Marlene Feist and wastewater treatment charges. Marlene, I thought I saw you. There you are.
Yeah.
Good to see your face.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome
Take it
to
away.
council members. So I'm Marlene Feist for Councilmember Bingle and Councilmember Sapone. I'm the city's Public Works Director, and I'm just going to talk a little bit today about an update to the agreement we have with Spokane County for treatment at our Riverside Park Water Reclamation Facility, so at the city's wastewater treatment facility. So obviously the county has been a partner of ours and has worked with us for treatment of wastewater at that facility for many years. We have this amendment to the memorandum of agreement between the city and county. This particular memorandum of agreement is about the financial charges that the county pays to the city for treatment. So basically, we have updated the list of charges to make sure that we've included things like the cost of running the next level of treatment, which is new since the last time we updated this agreement. So we make sure all those charges are in there, and then we actually measure the flow that comes to the city from the county. And this is from the North County, so this comes from Colbert and the Wandermere area, that kind of thing that comes directly to our plant. And so we use the formula that we've developed and charge that per million gallons of flow that we receive from the county. So this agreement would extend the previous terms of the agreement through the end of 2021, and then would update the terms for a 5-year period. It does allow for us to either party to terminate with 12 months notice. So if there's a change that we want to address financially, we can do that. So that's pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, everybody got a question? Now's the time to ask Marlene. Nope. All right,
Okay.
Marlene, that was good.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, Eric Finch is going to come up next and talk about the VOA Hope House.
Right. Happy January. I'm Eric Finch. I'm the interim Neighborhood Housing and Human Services Director, and this has been brought forward. It's something that has actually been kind of in progress for the past couple of months, but also kind of feathered around the work that has been being done in terms of building capacity in the rest of the shelter system. This is leveraging dollars that basically are recaptured from a couple other contracts where those funds are not being utilized or will be utilized in order to kind of I think ensure that we continue to have the capacity that we have in the VOA Hope House Women's Shelter. As you know, that is one of the longest running programs that we have, shelter programs for the city. And I think it is of note that, one of the challenges that comes with potentially some of those 5-year agreements is the fact that there weren't necessarily cost riders or other kind of financial review instruments put in those. And so what we have here is, I think a gap in operational funding for several of our shelters that is under review. And the VOA Hope House is simply one of the first that we've kind of had the time to assess. This funding is using COVID dollars that expire at the end of June. Again, that'll be recaptured from other programs, and so this will kind of help them get through to June when some of their other funding kicks in and allows them to continue through the year. And I think it's important to note that some of the other funding that we have across our shelter system that has been tied to ESG, CV, or COVID funding, that does run out in June, is also part of the operational framework for a couple of our other shelters, including, the Cannon Street shelter. So we're continuing to work on, I think, the overall sustainable funding plan for those, using other grant sources that we have available, but that plan is not completed yet. So pending your questions, we do recommend approval, obviously, to ensure that we can continue the Hope House service for women, which is probably the tightest category that we have within the current emergency shelter system.
And Eric, this is Karen. So are we talking, I'm looking at the briefing paper. Is this, how much money is this? Is this the?
Yeah, it's about $323,000.
Oh, okay. Got it. Does anybody have questions for Eric? I know we've been talking about this a while, so this is good to get this wrapped up and before us.
Yeah, and we appreciate the support.
Yep. Anybody at all for Eric? Okay, Eric, you're good. But I think you're up on the next one too. So under council requests, Kelsey, Martin, and Eric are going to talk about the emergency rental assistance sub-grant recommendations. Take it away.
So I'll start and then pass to Kelsey. Again, I think that this is based on council request from last year in terms of making sure that we did the RFP effort for that next tranche of rental assistance funding. We did go through, and Kelsey will kind of give, I think, the details in terms of what we saw and what we got back. I think the other part of this, that is just important, and one of the reasons why we've kind of, asked for the quick turn on this is simply to make sure that there isn't any gaps in terms of the application process for those that are applying. The other part that I know I've shared with a number of you, and we will continue to share, is that we are in some ways doing, I think exceedingly well in terms of getting this money out, both between the city and the county, into the region. And by that, we will probably get to a point within the next couple of weeks where on the portal, the applications portal, for, whether it be live stories or otherwise, we're going to have to start advising people that the assistance they're requesting may no longer be guaranteed. Because we'll have fully committed the funds that are at least available through these programs. And so that in some ways is a massively good news story. The challenge, though, is that as a jurisdiction, we might be having to tell people, that we're out of funds earlier than other jurisdictions are. So that could obviously set up a communications imbalance. Just because in other jurisdictions they've not been as fast at getting this, this needed funding out. So just something to be aware of, and happy to answer the question, but before I pass it off to Kelsey.
Councilmember Cathcart, did you have a question before Kelsey does her presentation?
Yeah, just real quick related to what you just said, Eric. You said we may be running out of money. So do we know if there's more money coming from Commerce down the road, or do we think we're pretty much at the end of what we're likely going to be getting?
Well, we have not seen anything new, although we continue to review, the different pieces that we're seeing from State Commerce or from the governor's office and from, HUD and the federal side as well. We're not aware of any other, kind of next stages, nor are we hearing it being talked about in a like we've heard in the past tranches that have happened. So that kind of gives us a little bit more of a concern about whether there's something that we can count on. Now, what has happened in other programs and may happen here is that as recapturing of dollars happens potentially from other jurisdictions that don't spend it all, we might, as one of the early ones that have gotten through the funding, be able to apply for some of that recapture dollars. But again, there is no existing process in place for that. And I would encourage all on the legislative and administrative side to certainly make sure that we're talking to our state and federal partners to make sure that those processes are at least considered.
Any more questions for Eric? If not, we're going to go to Kelsey, and she's going to provide us some information on the RFP. Take it away.
Hi. Good afternoon, Council. I'm Kelsey Martin, and I am administering the Rental Assistance Program within CHHS. CHHS is requesting a rule suspension and permission to allocate the Department of Treasury's ERA 2.0 award to continue the city's disbursement of rental assistance funds without having a lapse in funding availability to the community. CHHS released a request for proposal on December 6th, 2021, and accepted applications through January 3rd, 2022. The CHHS Board RFP and Review Evaluation Committee met to review the eligible applications received and sent their recommendation on to the full CHHS Board, who voted and approved of their recommendation, allocating approximately $1.1 million to the Carl Maxey Center, and the remainder of the funds, approximately $4.1 million, to Live Stories. Their recommendation was made after considering the performance of applicants administering the current rental dollars, as well as the community partnerships that were developed and utilized. And then just kind of a current rental assistance program update as of December 31st. The city has gotten out approximately 68%, or $14.7 million, of the 3 current tranches that we are administering. However, as Eric indicated, nearly 100% of these $21.5 million are committed in current partner queues. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that Council may have.
Okay, we'll start with Councilmember Cathcart and then Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, so you mentioned the RFP. I guess I never saw, well, I didn't even know the RFP had gone out, so I never saw anything about it. I'm just curious how that was advertised, how far and wide that was advertised, how many applicants were there, and in particular, I'm wondering, were there direct conversations with SNAP, who we know can do this better than anybody else, and I'm just wondering if we had those direct conversations encouraging them to apply to the RFP.
Yeah, the RFP went out to the normal the routes via the CHHS communications. All of the current administrators of the program, the Carl Maxey Center, Live Stories, and Family Promise, applied, as well as another applicant that was ineligible. They applied via the incorrect avenue. So there was 4 applicants. SNAP did not apply. They knew about the program, and there was, I believe, multiple conversations with SNAP, and they were indicated that they were not interested in accepting more funds to administer.
And then, if my math is right, it looks like the amount that we're allocating to Live Stories is more than that delta between what they need to fulfill current applications that are in the hopper. Is that accurate? Is my math correct on that we're giving them more than is needed for current applications?
Not necessarily. We are giving them, I mean, we're coming down to almost the day. They're getting about 26 applicants a day, and their average payout per applicant is $6,000. So as of January 1st, we were giving them more. 10 days in now, it's likely going to be right about even. So as Eric was indicating, there will be some math where we are going to have to figure out exactly when to potentially close their portal down, or really change the messaging as far as applying after this date. Funds may fully be exhausted.
And then just my last question for now. What is the average turnaround right now for Live Stories? How many days is it taking them from application to the check getting written?
Currently, they've still processed in their two-week turnaround, where they accept applications for 2 weeks and then process that bulk 2 weeks. So right now they're processing applications from mid-December. But again, it
So they're
is
about a month. Okay.
Yeah, it does have to do with the prioritization as well. You know, they prioritize families that are 30% or below AMI, as well as applicants who have been unemployed for 90 days or greater. And so those applications can cause some of the other applications to go further down the queue. Additionally, they are starting to prioritize some of the applications that come in from the partner agencies that are part of the ERPP program, so from Northwest Mediation Center as well as the Fulcrum Center.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answers on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Councilmember Cathcart, just as an addition, because several of us, reached out for SNAP, and they've actually had some staff challenges themselves, and lost some staff, and so they were just not in the capability, to be able to take on the additional work.
Okay, Councilmember Bingle.
Thank you. What was the other group that was deemed ineligible?
Spokane Workforce Council.
Okay. And then did we reach out to, would like a landlord's union or a tenants union be eligible to potentially run this program?
Potentially, if they had, the ability. Instead, what has happened is both the Landlord Association as well as the Tenants Union of Spokane has partnered with Life Stories to help administer some of, to help process applications. And so they are submitting applications to Life Stories. And really, some of the biggest barriers on processing applications quickly have been incomplete applications being submitted. So the Tenants Union and the Landlord Association really helping applicants submit complete applications is also helping the timeline of getting them processed and paid.
All right, sorry, a couple more questions if I could. Did I understand correctly that Family Promise was denied this time to be one of the partners?
Correct.
And what was the reasoning for their denial as opposed to before?
There was a few reasons that the board pointed out and considered. One of them, the first being that they currently they were awarded the first tranche of ERA 1 funds. They were also awarded the second tranche of TRAP 1 funds. They currently are still administering some of those TRAP 1 funds. They've gotten about, I believe it's 42% of their TRAP 1 funds out thus far. So their applications in queue are anticipated to be fully funded with their TRAP 1 tranche still, with funds remaining. Life Stories was the sole recipient of TRAP 2, and their current applicants in their queue fully exhaust TRAP 2 as well as almost this anticipated fourth tranche of ERA 2. The other reason that the board considered Family Promise's denial was they have yet to have any sort of community MOUs in place, community partnerships. Life Stories has created about 5 that are they're contracting with community partners, and that was another big reason.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one last question for you. So in the 4.1 that they were asking for, $500,000 of that is going towards admin costs. Do we get to look behind and see what those admin costs are and why they seem to be 13% of the money that we're giving them?
It's actually, their admin costs are actually at 9% per their RFP. I believe the admin costs maybe that you're seeing are for their initial ask. They did ask for the full amount of 5.2. So that might be where the math got mixed up. But their admin costs have traditionally been pretty low, and they are also at about the same cost actually as what Carl Maxey Center is, which they're both at around 9%. Interestingly enough, Treasury and Commerce did increase admin allowable up to 15% for this final tranche. So they're both well below the allowable cost.
Thank you.
And just as a point of education too, because I think it's important for the new council members and staff, quite honestly, is that we do have RFP and evaluation boards that are not city staff, and so city staff helps administer and provide the information and does helps contribute some of the analysis and the packaging, but these are kind of external RFP and evaluation boards that bring back these results. Just so you know.
Does anybody else have questions for Kelsey or Eric?
Councilmember Stratton, just a comment on the administrative costs. So many in the community found out that some of the challenging populations to reach just required more hands-on, and that really did increase the cost. So it's like we've gotten the low-hanging fruit, or those that were easily accessible to help. Now we're really going deeper into those communities to try to give them the assistance and the resources they need. So it's just labor. It's just labor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilkerson. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, thank you both. I know this is a lot of hard work. It's exhaustive work, and we appreciate it, so thank you. We have added an item under council requests. I'm going to invite Melissa Morrison to provide an update on the Housing Action Subcommittee. Melissa, are you there?
I am.
All right, take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So a couple of things to provide an update on. The first is 1590 discussion. I sent out a kind of a priority framework to council last week to give you some review, but I just wanted to review it and answer any questions or any feedback that council has. So the first piece is just kind of the basic framework, what we're looking, or what the group wanted to do. The left side where it says income use and population served, those are how the money has to be used per the RCW. So 60% below of AMI, at least 60% of funds of constructing new additional affordable housing, and then the population served has to be one of those, the subpopulations. So that kind of limits who can receive any of the services or housing. The second side is going through a lot of the city documents, looking at the comprehensive plan, and looking at the resolution that created the Housing Action Subcommittee, looking at the ordinance that allowed the city to collect the sales and use tax to be used towards affordable housing, and looking at some of the priorities that council has highlighted in what they would like to see in housing. So providing access to transit, providing access and support to homeownership, healthy living, sustainable and affordable living, looking at equity and addressing displacement and serving the needs of residents. So that is what the group decided on is kind of the first layer of the framework for council to look at. The funding allocation was 70 to 80% of the total funds being on building or acquiring new units. So that really, the bulk of the money would go above the 60% required by the RCW for that construction of new units, with the majority of the money going to the construction of new units, followed by towards the operation and maintenance of the units, and finally towards behavioral health facilities. The group really wanted to give council a percentage range to look at instead of exact percentages, just to give council the ability to provide that feedback on how much exact percentage they'd want to allocate those funds. The other piece of the allocations is the group did not want to give specific recommendations on how much should go to multifamily and how much should go to home ownership, creation of new units, because they wanted to be able to have the flexibility dependent on the applications received to make those funding allocations. So 20%, 20 to 30% going towards culturally responsive behavioral health treatment programs or housing related services. So still wanting to support additional housing related services with this new money, and looking at the initial RFP amount of $4 million, understanding that this is the first RFP for this new money, and when the next year's money is going to be allocated in another RFP process, these numbers can be changed. So it's not forever that this would be the split. It's just for this first initial amount of money. And with $4 million even with 70 to 80% of $4 million going towards gap funding for new units, it's a good amount of money, but it's not necessarily a ton of money to meet the need. So not wanting to spread the money too thin between new units and services, and at first just focusing on creation of new units. Additional recommendations coming from the group is the RFP committee include members of impacted communities. So when projects are being evaluated, that there are folks who are helping make those decisions that are part of those impacted communities, that the money will be used to create housing units. And the second is to coordinate the release of the 1590 RFP with the ARPA money that's being allocated towards housing. The feedback from a lot of the providers and housing providers is that will help them with their funding ask to know what money is out there, and as the applications are made, that will help with their coordination. So that is what I have for the 1590. So any questions or feedback from council on that?
Councilmember Kinnear.
Thank you. Melissa, thanks for that. That's good information. I want to know if the group is considering buying or transitioning motels and formerly commercial property that can be turned into apartment units. So is that on the table as well? That seems to be kind of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, if there was an RFP that came forward and if it met the needs of creating additional units, I think that could be used. But this is really recommendations from council to go forward to the administration to create the RFP. So we're not developing this RFP, but if those kind of applications came in, I think they would be definitely could be evaluated.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they weren't off the table if they do. Thank you.
No.
Melissa, can I comment on Councilmember's comments? So Councilmember Kinnear, when the rapid housing, we tried to partner with Catholic Charities over purchasing a hotel, and that fell through. The committee actually went out and worked with building owners, and there are no motels, hotels available in our region to purchase at this time. So that is one option that currently is not available to us.
Thank you for that information. Anybody else have questions? Okay, Melissa, thank you so much for jumping in and providing that. Go ahead.
Oh, just one other thing. It was discussed at the last group meeting with the ordinance that will be heard tonight about the rental payment protections, and the group did support that in enacting those protections. The feedback they provided, though, was to make sure that there was more outreach and it was made known publicly, just with seeing some of the issues that have come up with their rental assistance, and that information they just didn't feel like was shared widely enough throughout the community. So that was just some of that feedback, is really making sure that information is shared.
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have questions for Melissa? All right, Melissa, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Chris Becker for the permit activity. There you are. Okay, you're up. Thank you.
Happy New Year and welcome to our new council members. I'm Chris Becker. I am the director of the Development Services Center, Code Enforcement and Parking. So I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation here. So this is a report I do every month. And so this report right now will show us the year-end numbers. I'm a month behind, so this will show us year-end, end of December, all of our permitting activity. And I'll go a little bit slower than I normally do to try to explain. It contains a ton of data, and we do email it out in a Power BI format, which is interactive, and so you'll be able to click on it and drill down and apply filters and things. So overall, our permitted activity last year was up about 12%. We were just really, really busy last year. New single-family residences were up over 56%, and our overall construction valuations were up about 9%. Down here, this is our online applications. You can see our numbers were fairly consistent. We had a little bit lower numbers in November and December, which is typical for us, but on average, we're still about 81% of our applications are coming in online, which is great news. So this is our total annual construction valuations. So we ended the year at $638 million, which is a record year for us, beating our last year, which was $585 million. Down here, you can see the red line is our commercial projects, the black line is our residential projects, and then the blue is the sum of the two. This shows it breaks down the size of the project and just compares. So the blue are projects greater than $10 million, which are some of those bigger exceptional projects. There's a couple middle schools that we issued permits last year. Some of our bigger commercial projects are in there. The orange are projects between 1 and 10 million, which are those smaller commercial projects, some tenant improvements, things like that. And then the gray are all the projects under $1 million. So you can see a pretty decent split there between those three types of projects. This is the comparison of publicly and privately funded projects. We did not add any publicly funded, we didn't issue any permits for any publicly funded projects in December. So that stayed the same, and we are just showing a significant public investment in our community. This is the single family permits. So as I said, we ended the year at 400. Sorry, what's happening there? 400. We issued 48 permits for new single-family homes last month. We had 15 new applications come in December, and I'm happy to report that a couple of those were even approved and issued in the month of December. So at the beginning of last year, we had a significant number of residential permits coming in trying to beat the new building codes that were adopted, and so we have finally, I feel like, unburied ourselves from that pile of work. We currently have 19 single-family homes in review, and we have 15 that the review is approved, and we're just waiting for the fees to be paid, and those can also be issued. So I'm very excited to report that our single-family permits, I'm going to call us all caught up, but we're able to get to those very quickly. We are continuing to utilize our third-party reviewer to help us keep those moving through our system. So that was some really good news. This is the map that shows the distribution, and again, this is more meaningful when you can look at it in the Power BI because you can click on each of those points and drill down and get more information. This is the multifamily, and again, I made one correction to this, but we still have another correction. The 829 is an incorrect number. The problem that we're having is we extended a permit, and the permit system changed the issue date, and so it's counting those units again. The permit was actually issued in 2020, and it's 134 units. So the total is 695 units. Permits were issued in 2021. And that's just a problem we haven't really had. COVID has impacted just everything in everyone's life, but we're seeing across the board in the DSC, we're extending a lot more permits, and we're trying to keep people going, but material shortages, labor shortages, we're seeing impacts with equipment now, just any kind of impact to the construction industry you can imagine we're seeing, and people are just not able to finish the projects as timely as they have in the past. So that reissuing or extending the permits is a little, we have to tweak our system to fix that. So 695 units is the real number. We'll get that fixed for 2022. And you can see we still have quite a few permits units, 182 and 124 in review. So more coming on that. This is the map that shows the locations of those projects. This is the largest projects issued in 2021, and there is only one new one on here from what we saw in November, and it's this project right here. It is the McFarland 2 project, which is a 218,000 square foot concrete tilt-up shell building and site work. It was $14.5 million. It's at 11307 West McFarland Road. And they don't have a tenant identified for that yet, but that's out there in a light industrial zone out there by the airport. So all of the rest are the same as they were last month. These are the largest projects in plan review, and these did not change from the previous month. And then these are the largest projects in pre-development, and these have not changed either from the previous month. And I believe that is my last slide. Normally, I would this month have for you the slide that compares the valley and the county. We're still gathering those numbers from those other jurisdictions, and I'll have that for you next month that shows our total construction valuation compared to the other jurisdictions. So that we'll have that in February. I think that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Does anybody have questions for Chris? Go ahead, Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just real quick, just wondering where we're at with permit issue times. Are we still hovering around that 2 weeks, as was the goal?
So that is the plan review. Yeah. So for anything with a residential component, we are at the 2 weeks. With the caveat of projects like we have the Falls Tower in, which required some specialized reviews. We're utilizing the third party for that. That took longer than the 2 weeks, but we've been working very closely with that developer and their consultants on that. So yes, we're doing great on plan reviews, like I said, especially on the single family, and we are utilizing the third party to help us with some of the multifamily units as well, just to keep things moving through the system.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Bingle.
Who's the third party we're using?
Safe Built.
Any other questions for Chris? All right. That is perfect. Chris, thank you so much. We appreciate that information. That does it for our meeting this afternoon. We will meet again in February, and now everybody gets a little break before our briefing session at 3:30. We'll see you there.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www